Hey, everybody, and welcome to the HERstory Collaborative. My name is Jen Buck, and I'm your host. I am a professional speaker, a coach, an author, a nonprofit founder, and my business is focused on advocating, activating, and amplifying high-performing women. And this show is about exactly that. So I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. Today, we have someone that I'm so excited about. I love her dearly. She is someone that I first admired from afar and then became a friend. I find her to be incredibly fascinating because she has this breadth of work that just blows my mind. Not only is she a transformationalist, working with people in coaching, building their businesses, increasing their brand awareness, she is also a manager for an incredible up-and-coming artist. Her name is Kai. You can find her at I Am Kai. And she's also a music mogul in that she has literally spent her lifetime with some of the biggest names in hip-hop. So I adore you. Tina, hello. I'm so glad you're here, Tina Michelle.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
This is exciting. And you are somebody that I just sort of stand in awe at, as I'm watching you create just huge, mega programs and processes that benefit the community and women and artists. And it's just an unbelievable breadth of work that you have. So I am so happy that you're here. I'm so
happy to be here with you. This is exciting to me to see your voice move and to see your brilliance and beauty, in this type of a setting. It's very exciting to me because you know how much I love you and I love everything you have to say and everything that you do. So this is so much fun.
Well, that's awesome. And I appreciate that so much. So I want to get into sort of the nuts and bolts of what you do. But the first thing I want to do is allow you to tell us a little bit about what being a transformationalist is all about. I've seen the impact of your work, but I can't properly tell people what you do and how you change lives. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm sort of committed to transformation, right? We always talk about change, but I look at change sort of literally, like I can count change. So if I give you $10, it costs $5. My change should be $5. So the transformation is actually beginning with saying, I would like something from over here that's different. That's where the transformation, when you put your hand out to get it, that's the transaction. And then the change is something that you can count in your hand. So we are transformationalists, but we're also transactionalists, right? In a lot of ways, because we're expecting this to happen for this. So however it's expressed, whether it's through our media outlets, I'm the CEO of Connect to Your City Television Network. We have 50 OTT channels now, and we are distributing on smart television platforms all over the world. So I'm always going to be excited about that because the first part of changing globally anything for a group of people is shifting the narrative. So we can shift the narrative, we can shift access, we can shift resources, then transformation begins, and then we can start counting change.
You are such a mogul. This is why I love you, because you have your hands in so many things that you enjoy, that you're stimulated by, but you're also all about empowering others to make sure that they're also boosting what they do. And it's just an extraordinary thing to watch you not only teach, but give. You're constantly giving and helping other people create this incredible life for themselves. And I just stand in awe. I just think you're such a superstar, truly.
Oh my gosh, as you are too. I mean, you are my fave, right? We've been stalking each other a little bit, right?
Yeah.
For years, actually. And sometimes we didn't understand where each other were coming from, but it was beautiful when we can connect and go, oh, I get you.
Yeah.
We're the same. I get it.
Yeah. It's
right. And so I could never understand, why would anybody want to do it together? I mean, do it by themselves. Like, I'm an only child, so I never want to do anything myself. Like, when I was a kid, my mom used to buy me games. I'm like, who am I going to play this with? Like, I play Go Fish and Solitaire. Why are you giving me all these games, right? So, to me, it's about fun. And you have the fun when you can connect. So I feel like the environment that we've had leading up to the pandemic was so unfun because people were so busy competing and backbiting and getting at each other. And that's because they don't have a really good clarified identity, which is really transformation. Once your identity, not personality, is clarified, right, then you can start creating your personal reality, which is your personality, and you become contagious. So that message is so strong in me, even more so now, because I'm like, you're a pandemic, I'm a pandemic, you're a pandemic of joy, I'm a pandemic of love. We're going to be our own, energy shifting little vortices and shift our world. Because you can't change the whole world, but I can change my world and be highly contagious, right? Yes. And you can change your world and be highly contagious. So let's do it together, because then we get a larger footprint.
Absolutely. And, and that's my whole reason for being, is amplifying women and making sure that I have a really strong, really, really bold group of women around me that are changing their little corner of the world. We are here for such a short amount of time, and we have to do all the good we can. And what I love about you is that you always do stand on the right side of right. Like, that's something I know about you. And that's why I think I've gravitated towards you, because you are so interested in helping other people. And I love that. So something that, you started to talk about being an only child. So tell me, when you were little, what were you like? Were you always this hurricane that comes in that creates change around you? I mean, tell me about who you were.
I guess, I hear stories about me, right? Because my family is from New York, but we are Southern by culture and tradition. So I would hear little stories about things that I would do. Like my mom and I used to go to this little coffee shop called Bella's with donuts and everything. And we would sit there, and there would be these cute little townspeople, right? That I realize now how important it was, being raised in Tarrytown, New York, right outside of Manhattan, and the home of the Waterhouses, the Rockefellers, and the Goebbels. Yeah. So it wasn't too hard to imagine that Happy Rockefeller might be having coffee with you. And so they would look at this little 3 or 4 year old girl and ask me questions. And there was a butterfly, and they were like, "Oh, look at that sweet little thing. Do you see that, Tina Michelle?" And this is the testimony I heard, right? And I was like, "That's not a butterfly. Butter doesn't fly; it flutters by." Oh. So that became sort of like the brand of my logic from a very young girl. That, wow. Okay, I understand what you're calling it, but does it make sense? And is it true? And is it aligned? Right? And I've been told these sort of zany stories about myself. So I guess I was very creative. I was raised in a freedom fighting household. My mother was an activist, and she was also a church leader. And because of that, I got to see both sides of the table. I saw the spirituality for real, not the religion, but the spirituality and the real love and connection in the community that I lived in. But I also saw someone who was not afraid to say, this has to change. This must be different, and it needs to happen with me first. Yeah. And so she would always ask me the question, I know what they're doing, but people do what they do. What say you, soldier? Wow. And I would always have to think about, how can I be an answer? Even as a young girl, how can I be an answer? Yeah. How can I be a catalyst? Yeah. And so I was always doing something. I was very busy as an only child.
I love that you actually told me this, because in all of these years, I've never known this. And I have to say that you, more than anyone I know, are a magician with words. And it's your talent, it's your gift, it's what you are able to create in the spoken word. I mean, your prose, it's beautiful. And so I love that it's something that you've always done. The flutter by is so huge, and even for a little one to say. And I love that about
it. It made perfect sense to me. And so my great auntie, she passed probably a year or two ago. And I remember before she transitioned, she would always say, don't let anyone cramp your style, right? You have a New York delivery in your work ethic, but you are definitely Southern bred, baby. Oh, and so we would laugh about that, but I so appreciate it now that I'm, supporting adult phenoms, right? Both of my kids are phenoms. Mm-hmm. And they're adults. So I'm not a smother mother or a hover mother. My job is to come alongside their vision and help them to create capacity and expand it and let them make these choices from an authentic place.
Yeah.
And now that I see these things, I see that they have a little bit of that Southern thing, right? Mm-hmm. And they have a whole bunch of the New York execute thing. And now they've got the Southwest, you know, I'll get around to it, which drives me crazy. The hurry up and wait. Yeah. I wanted it yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. That's a New York thing. I wanted it yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying. I'm really having fun in places that I thought I would never venture into again. I hated the music business after a while. It was just so horrible for women in particular when it comes to them wanting to express themselves. There was no gender parity or equality when it came to companies that are controlling the brands of these women and these young people. So I was just like, I can't do this. This is human trafficking. I'm not doing this anymore. I refuse to participate. But I've always been an advocate for the artist and for the art. And then my daughter, you know, becomes this brand. And I'm like, I'm not going to be her manager. Someone else is going to be her manager. You know, being a manager is like being a mom. Wait, yeah. I am her mom. Whoops. Right. So I might as well do the job. So I'm enjoying it all. But I know it comes from a place of, you know, just recently someone reminded me, Larry, as a matter of fact, the founder of Connect to Your City. He is like, you know, you're an only child. And it's not until now that I realized that, because you never mention it. He said, but that's such a strong part of your identity, how you always want to bring people together and introduce people to something new. And when you taste something, you go find people to share it with. Yeah. He's like, when you have a lot of brothers and sisters, when you get food, you hide it.
Yeah. Right.
When you have a friend, that's just your friend.
Right.
You're not that way at all. You're like, oh my gosh, Jen Buck is the most amazing person in the world. Everyone needs to, you know, see what I see because it's so much fun. You're always ready to share it all. Yeah. And so I'm just sort of embracing that. Maybe that's where it comes from.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. Yeah. You get my mind popcorning so fast. I just love it. I hang on to every word. So tell me this, when you were little, what did you think you'd grow up to be?
It's strange. I always wanted to be Michael Jackson's wife, right? And so then I wanted to be in the Peace Corps. And I remember being like 7 years old and seeing the UNICEF ads. And then I had my little orange box. And then I was always really interested in that and Smile of a Child. And I was always finding ways to give back. And I said to my cousin, I said, I'm going to join the Peace Corps. And she laughed at me to the point where I felt shamed for even saying it, right? Wow. She said, Black people don't join the Peace Corps. We need the Peace Corps.
Wow.
And I thought about it. I was like shamed. Like I felt ashamed that I even said it. It made me realize that I was Black. First of all, I didn't know there was a difference to the point of value or activities. I was happy to be melanated. You know, my mom always made me happy about celebrating my whole culture. And I was raised in a community where my neighbor was from Portugal and my other neighbor was from Sicily and my other neighbor was from Nigeria. So we were all in the same boat. We're in the same neighborhood. We got yelled at by everybody's grandma, Nana, and Nona. Equally. Equally.
Yes. Yes.
So I realized at that point, not only is there a distinction of color and value, but this woman who is Black too said it about herself.
Yeah.
And it was stunning to me. It really bothered me.
Sure.
And I remember going to my mom and I'm going, what is this? And she is like, you remember I was telling you about slavery and I was telling about this and that. For some reason, I didn't think it had anything to do with me. And so she walked me through African history and African-American history and what this means as to what people may perceive for themselves as identity. But she always reminded me that you are not the color of your skin. It's your character.
Yeah.
It's going to be the content of your character that people are going to remember. And that stuck with me. But I remember being very young going, I want to be in a Peace Corps. I used to sleep with the I Have a Dream. Remember the I Have a Dream speech that was on vinyl? I slept with it. when I was a little girl.
Wow.
I slept with it, and I would play it on my record player with the little slides that went up and
Yes.
down. You know how you had the viewfinder?
Yes.
I had a
Totally.
viewfinder, and I would play the speech
Oh, wow.
and the drum major speech. I would play the speech. I would literally, from a very young age, I was this person. My grandfather had to sit with me. My 6'3" grandfather sat in my closet as a little girl to try to tell me why Jerry Lewis's kids couldn't play outside the way I did, because I refused to go outside or eat until they could play.
Right.
So I think it was always in me, but I was always shamed for it. Like I was like laughed at, you know, by people outside of my mother's household that, oh, that's not realistic. Actually, we need to help. Who are you trying to help? Who do you think you are? You live in the projects with your mom. So you're poor just like everybody else. And I didn't know I was poor. I didn't know what that meant.
Right.
You know, so, you know, I remember being 13 and making a decision going, the world is bigger than this, and I want to see it all. And I lived with people who lived in New York and never saw the Statue of Liberty, never went to the Bronx Zoo, never went to the Lincoln Center. They never left their neighborhood. And I went to, my mother took me to all these different events and activities, and I sang. So because I was a classical singer, it took me to Lincoln Center to compete in this, to compete in that. My scope was different just because I wanted more. And so I look at transformation and access for young people that are coming up, and even for young ladies who just haven't had it. They just haven't had the access. It's just a matter of exposure. When you're exposed to something different, then you want something different. And we have the opportunity as coaches and transformationalists and media narrators to create a narrative that helps them to fill the gap in between what they want and where they're going, so that they can get there. They can have that life, and they can design it from any place.
Yes. So tell me, you know, I know your passion. I know your enormous bandwidth. You've got an incredible amount of projects happening all the time. The reach that you have is extraordinary. And so tell me, what do you love about what you do? You know, I know that you're so driven naturally, but what do you love about it?
I love people. I love talking to people. It's like a new book all the time. It's so awesome. And I love finding the unknown variable. I mean, some of the people that I befriend are considered troublesome because I'm like, we are the island of the misfit toys. If you're like cookie cutter and everything else, you're not going to like me because I'm going to tell you, I don't believe you. Like, I don't believe you. Nobody believes you. You don't have to be a Kardashian. You know, where's that passion? Where's your fire? What's going to wake you up in the morning? What's going to keep you moving through a pandemic, through people dying all around you, through not knowing what's happening with government? What's going to happen to you when you put your feet on the ground and say, in spite of the things that circle where I stand, my circumstances, I'm still able to cast this vision way beyond that and keep it moving. That's what you have to have. And that's what I have when I meet people and I communicate with them. This pandemic has been interesting because I've been doing boutique broadcasting for 10 years, but I've had to learn to narrowcast. I've had to learn to, even though I love these wide, big projects, is to figure out what is my Michael Jordan slam dunk each time in the conversation and delegate the rest. Because if you don't have this, if Michael didn't have the slam dunk, we wouldn't be talking about him, about his movie theater or even his, you know, skivvies.
Sure.
We only talk about the basketball, which gave access to the rest.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so I'm always championing that. I'm like, what is the one thing that I can do to change the game right now? I don't have to do it all. I just do that. And there's other people who have the skill sets who can do the rest. And let's find them and collaborate and get it done.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what makes it exciting.
Your wisdom just absolutely makes my head explode, and I love it. And I have to ask you, if you could give one piece of advice to younger women who are starting out in their careers, or even little girls who are dreaming about who they're going to be and what they're going to do with their life, what would you tell them?
That it starts now. Like everything that you've ever dreamed of begins today. You're just walking it out and walking it out to a certain degree. But knowing that, even though may have some situations, you might be a little overwhelmed. That's part of the journey. You know, it's a bus stop. It's not the destination. And recognize that. Don't camp out there. Don't camp out in hatred, animosity, bitterness, harm, or anybody else's opinion of yourself. If you camp out there, you'll stay there and not grow from that place. Yeah. And you're not going to be able to imagine. You're not going to be able to reimagine when you have to reboot what you're thinking a little bit. You won't be able to resource yourself from universe and other people when you get stuck in what you think should be instead of enjoying what is. So that's what I tell them all the time. I'm like, be in your body. Don't look at what's missing. We know we can't change what happened in the past, but we can decide what happens next. So let's be present enough to have our decider working at all times, right? And decide, cut away from this, enter this, cut away from this, enter this, until it starts feeling like a resonance. You can feel it. It's like a good song or a high note. You can feel that resonance to your body and take the time to go, yeah, I'm in the right place. I'm having the right conversation. I'm on the right path. I might not be there yet, but it's opening up more and more every single day. And I'm going to walk as far as I can see. And when I get there, I will see more.
I love it. And I hope that all the people that are taking this information in are getting ready to grab a pad of paper and a pencil and write this stuff down, because the wisdom you drop so naturally is so channeled, and you are so bright. And one of the things that I also love about you is that it's not just words. You create this magic. You have created an empire in your life. And so I hope people are taking notes, because Tina Michelle, you're dropping so many slam dunks. It's unbelievable.
Well, here's, too, I want to frame this for people, because people say you and not me, right? Tina Michelle, you have this empire. No, I was a little girl with a lot of imagination, right? Just a lot of imagination. Like, I lived in this place of what if and what if and what if and this, and then what if and this. So even though it seems so massive, it's really simple. I'm being me every day, and I get to express that in many different ways. And I have partners that do so many different things that I get to sort of shift and still be me in each one of their worlds. Yeah. And so it becomes an empire, because it's not my empire, it's our empire. And empirically, we're able to come together and create something phenomenal that when individually you'd become isolated, afraid, trying to figure out where you're going to get your next close, your next deal. I don't have to worry about that, because I know we have a resource around us that if I have to test something, I know I can go to my girlfriend and say, let's test this. Like you said to me, what about your class? Well, I want to test it. You're on the phone at the right time. Let's test it. What about your show? Let's broadcast it. Let's see what happens. Let's get it done. There's no fear. Yes. There's no selfishness, because the excitement is, we're just one linear island if we do it by ourselves. But now we are an empire, because I can say over there, Jen has like 25 classes as part of our family of classes. And you can go over there and meet Jen. It just makes you feel like there's so much more to you when you have the generosity of identity and collaboration.
Yes. Yes, you're speaking my language, because you know how I am with women, that I want all women to succeed around me, and so I love that. So here's what I'm going to do, because we're getting to the end of our time together, but I do want to take you through a speed round. I always feel like the speed round allows all of us to understand each other better. And so these are questions that you can just give me a quick answer to. All right. So I'm going to throw some at you. Here we go. Favorite woman in history who you would want to be sitting next to on a park bench?
Ooh, Rosa Parks.
Nice. Are you a night person, an afternoon person, or a morning person?
Unfortunately, I'm just not an afternoon person. I'm a morning person and a night person. I have to take siesta around 3.
Okay, got it. You're a napper. I am not a napper. I don't
lose discipline.
But okay.
Brand new.
So first purchase if you win, or first spend, let's just say, if you win the lottery.
A harp.
Really?
Yes, I'm looking into one now, actually. A harp.
Okay, that just blew my mind. I did not see that coming at all. All right, favorite book?
Oh my goodness, I have to choose one. Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay. I've only read one Malcolm Gladwell book, and I definitely need to jump on this bandwagon because people are like, you are missing the greatest mind of our time. So I need
Love
to jump in.
Malcolm.
Yeah. What's the best advice you've ever been given?
Keep breathing.
Mm,
It'll be okay.
yes. Do you have any regrets?
Yes, I regret that I didn't have courage that only comes with wisdom when I was younger.
Great answer.
I regret that sometimes I hesitated and looked for the right way to do things, or the right answer when really I had the right to design it however I wanted to.
Okay. I love that. So what's your theme song? If you walk on stage, what's blaring?
Help Somebody by Maxwell.
Okay. Are you living past 100?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. I'm going to be there too. People always say no. And I'm like, my gosh, hello, technology. Hello.
I made that decision during this quarantine, and I stayed at home. And if you watch Kai's TikToks, you see her every day. She's like, another cup of Grinch piss, and it's celery juice. Yes. So every day we're drinking the Grinch celery piss. Juice and the beet juice. Yeah, that's what she calls it. But it's, I have a whole new lease on life lately just because I was fighting my body, and they said it was menopause and it was blood pressure, it was this and that. And I'm like, I'm not going to accept that. I have to just accept that. Like, I'm not going to accept that. Right. And so I just started making a commitment to a gallon of water, making sure I move for at least 20 minutes. I start every day with celery juice, and then I go to beet juice at lunchtime, and I make sure that I eat more green than I do carbs, which is, that was my hardest thing, bread and rice. Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, fill the plate with salad and put a little bit of rice on the side, and that's been my challenge. And I have so much energy, it's ridiculous. But before I was like, time to make the donuts. I'm so tired. This is 50. This is 50. Now I'm like, this 50 feels like 30. I feel great. Let's keep going.
I'm right there with you. So you are living to 100 and beyond. I love that. What's the single best word to describe you?
Tenacious.
Oh, you are tenacious. Yes. And last question in the speed round. Finish this sentence. When I'm old, I hope to see.
Unity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we are moving finally through awareness into that direction. Finally.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't even want this to end. And the fun thing is that it doesn't really have to, because I can pick up the phone anytime and call you. And, but we've got time limits on what we do here, but I want to give you some last moments, if you don't mind, to tell people where they can find you, tell people what you can do for them. Give us that line so that people can contact you. You are a magician, and I think people need to know that they can find you easily.
Well, I'm remixing everything, as you know, with new TV network format, everything. But everything is still on tinaspeaks.com. I'm hoping by March 1st it will have the new website, which means I'm getting rid of most of it. It's just going to be a contact sheet. You don't need to have all that. You can see it, right? And it demonstrates, get out of the ops, stay in your gift, get out of the ops, because the ops is going to will baffle you and make you procrastinate. Whereas if you just keep executing, keep going. One of the things we're focused on right now is teaching whole life branding from this point of reimagining life, right? Where I used to do a 90-day brand intensive. Actually, when President Obama became president, I used to teach a class called Pop It Like Barack, Branding 2.0, according to President Obama, dealing with digital technology as well as authentic organic branding. And so now we have to reapproach this thing based on today's technology and knowing that we are the channel. And instead of me just speaking about it here and there in radio, I'm like, we're going to go back to the 90-day and we're going to do a full intensive where people have to get ready to work, because when they're done, they're going to be done with getting their whole setup, their whole infrastructure, the architecture. So I'm excited about that because I love the architecture of brand. I love middle back office design. I love watching people have clarity and easy process and just be able to execute. So we're going to be able to do that. So we're looking towards, of course, Women's Month, to have this stuff in order and launch that so that people can just, no matter what's going on in the world, you have a handle on your business, you have a handle on who you are and how you do things.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm just so grateful, and I love you to pieces. I think you are one of my favorite people. I learn something every time I'm with you, and I can't thank you enough for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Kai wanted to be here today, but she's
I know.
finally gone after her shoot.
I know. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to all of you that joined us. And I will say before we go that these series are actually being sponsored by an incredible organization called Go With The Flow. And Go With The Flow helps students who are in areas that have been economically hit, and these students who are menstruating don't have the supplies that they need to take care of themselves. And so ultimately what happens is that they end up missing 5 days of school a month during that period. And so what Go With The Flow does is gives free packs to these students so that they can continue to come to school and their graduation rates are not impacted. So if you're interested in volunteering or donating to Go With The Flow, you can go to gowiththeflowaz.org. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.